Welcome to the visualization video number 2. In the first video, we created a perspective view, and it includes lights, decals, and other components. Now let's take a look at rendering this view. In the bottom left corner of your screen, you'll see a little teapot icon. Go ahead and pick that. We're going to use some of the defaults, like the draft for the quality, for now, and the screen resolution. But let's change the lighting. Instead of using exterior sun only, the first rendering we'll look at is interior artificial only. We'll take a better look at the interior lights. Let's go ahead and pick render, and during the rendering I'll pause the video. I left this dialog box open to show you that there is a JPEG file missing for this file, the Furnishings Fabric Mesh JPEG. Don't worry about that file. We're using draft to create quick renderings that we can take a look at, but the final rendering would be of better quality. If I pick artificial lights, you'll see check marks in all the different lighting sources. If you take the check mark out of the floor lamp and re-render, you'll see that the floor lamp is turned off. If we use the sun only and we change the sun setting to still for September 25th at 10 o'clock in the morning, then we'll see the sunlight coming in, but the room becomes very dark. But even with the sun only at 10 o'clock, you can pick adjust exposure and adjust the settings for the brighter and darker exposure, highlights, midtones, and even the white point, which gives it a little bit warmer look. Each time you change the settings, pick apply to update the rendering. Saturation will bring out the colors a little bit more. If I go back to reset the defaults and pick apply, the room is actually darker, giving us the option of using exposure controls to highlight the lighting in the room. If we reset the defaults for the exposure control and then change the sun setting from 10 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. and render the view, you'll see that the room has more sun exposure. Under background style, if you go to the bottom and pick image, you can pick the image button and bring in an image for your background. You can maintain the original size or stretch it out so that it looks more like a window opening. You can even adjust the width and the height. This is an interior rendering, but the same thing applies to a building rendering if you'd like to show trees and sky in the background. There are so many different materials that you can change in this room, but for now let's go ahead and close out of the render dialog box and go to the second floor plan, and we'll change the floor. Rest your pointer close to the inside of the exterior wall and use your tab key until you tab to the floor. You can then left click, and in properties you'll see that you have the floor selected. You can pick edit type, and then under construction structure you can pick edit, and for the default material, which you'll see is the default floor, we're going to duplicate this material and call it carpet and pick OK. For the material called carpet, we can go to the render preferences, pick replace, and then in the library of material we can find flooring carpet. There are several different types of flooring with different swatches that give you a representation of what that flooring will look like. I'm going to go ahead and pick carpet. There are several carpets here available for us to use. And you'll notice here that you have choices in changing any type of materials, reflectivity, transparency, and even the bump, which gives it more of a rough surface. I'll go ahead and pick OK and go back to our rendering. You can use Control Tab to cycle through your views, and let's render our perspective. This is a draft view. I selected an image. I changed the time to about 8 o'clock in the morning to get a little bit of sun shining in through the trees and maintain my artificial lights. Go ahead and decide on your image and your material for your floor, and then render your view with a medium rendering quality. Once your view renders with your settings, you can pick Save to Project and call this Interior Rendering. When you pick OK, you'll notice that that rendering is in the project browser along with your abstract rendering. If we change the quality setting to draft and then we pick Edit at the bottom of this drop down, you'll see that for the setting draft, all of the quality settings are on the low side towards the left side. If you change your settings to best, then you'll notice that there's an increase in some of these tools, like smoothing out the jagged edges in the rendering and the blurred reflections. As a choice, you can set one of these current and then pick Copy to Custom. When you pick Copy to Custom, you can then edit that type of setting for this view. I'll go ahead and cancel out of this dialog box and close out of rendering. Let's rename this 3D view 3D Interior Perspective, and then go to the second floor plan. We're going to create a quick color-coded plan with a legend. So for the second floor plan, let's duplicate this view and then rename it Second Floor Color-Coded Plan. Notice on the left side of this building, there are already room boundaries. We'll talk about this topic with more detail in a later module, but if you select here the room boundary, you'll see in the properties that it's already been named Living and it's number 10. So in the Room and Area panel of the Home tab, we can pick Tag and Room Tag and then left click to place a tag in this room. Notice as you get close to any one of these rooms, the name of that tag changes. So this one is called KIT for kitchen, and here for the lab and the entry. On the right hand side, there's no room boundary established yet. We can go to Room and then select here that area to establish a boundary. Selecting here that room boundary, you can change the room name to something different like Living 2 and pick Apply. Continue placing room tags for the rooms on the left hand side, and then in Properties pick under Color Scheme None. In the Edit Color Scheme dialog box, we can pick Scheme 1 and see all of the default colors that we can easily change. If we clicked on any one of these colors, you can go ahead and pick OK, and you have here a color-coded floor plan If you'd like to see the walls in the properties, you can change the color scheme location from background to foreground. Pick Apply and pick Close. Then go to the Color Fill Legend in the Room Area panel to place a legend for those rooms. We'll go to the second floor plan and create a short walkthrough. Here by the 3D view icon under the camera, you'll see walkthrough. The offset is 5'6". We're creating a walkthrough on the second floor. As you pick points, you're establishing where the camera view is. You can turn corners, and when you're done, pick Finish Walkthrough. If you right-click, you can go to the walkthrough view, or if you clicked in your screen and no longer have the path, you can highlight Walkthrough 1 in the project browser, right-click and pick Show Camera, and then here right-click and pick Go to View, or just double-click on Walkthrough 1 in the project browser. In this camera view, we're going to change the crop, but notice that it's at the end. So we'll need to edit the walkthrough and go back to the first frame in the options bar. We can go back to the Edit Walkthrough Contextual tab and pick Play. Use your Escape key to interrupt the operation, and then in Properties, under Other, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see Walkthrough. You can pick this button that says 300 and see the default speed for each one of these frames. In this dialog box, you can change the information for your walkthrough to change the speed, changing the frames per second. The walkthrough doesn't appear to be very smooth, but if you increase the frames per second, your animation will be shorter in length. So you can increase the total frames to something higher, like 600, increase the frames per second to 30. You can highlight the frame and pick Edit Walkthrough and pick Play. Use your Escape key to stop the operation, and let's take a look at the graphic display option for turning on a silhouette edge. You'll see that some of the lines are a little bit bolder, and now we can play the walkthrough at 30 frames per minute. It's a lot slower, but a little smoother animation. You have a choice in the application menu of exporting this walkthrough here as an AVI file.